Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Savi and I'm here to interview an incredible person, and we're going to be talking about a lot of things together. But first of all, let me introduce you to Dr. Kevin Beatson. Dr. Kevin Beatson, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You are the president of this incredible society that you've created over the last year, which is the British Association of Filipino Physicians and Surgeons. We will be talking about the up and coming conference, but I wanted to concentrate first of all on your work. You are a doctor that trained over in Edinburgh, as well as the fact that you are now doing a PhD. Tell us about your research. It sounds really interesting. Non-invasive procedures, not to steal your thunder, but it sounds like something that is up and coming, especially in terms of biomarkers.
Yes, so thank you very much. I'm a surgical registrar, and I've taken time out of my surgical training to undertake a PhD at University College London. My project is on blood biomarkers for esophageal and gastric cancer. Esophageal gastric cancer are challenging diseases to pick up at an early stage. By the time patients develop symptoms, the main one being trouble swallowing, it's usually at a later stage, typically stage 3 or stage 4. 75% of patients at diagnosis in the UK are at stage 3, stage 4. Picking up a disease earlier obviously tends to lead to better outcomes. And so the challenge is to develop a test that can pick up these diseases at an earlier stage. The only way of diagnosing esophageal cancer at the moment is through a camera test, which is expensive relatively, needs resources within hospital, and is obviously invasive for a patient to have a camera going down their gullet to look for a disease. So developing a blood test will hopefully change things in terms of how we diagnose and work up these patients.
You know, one of the things that we were talking about while we were giving you a quick tour of the hospital was with regards to where are the patients coming from? Are they being referred, or are there people that you've seen in terms of other consultants who have said, actually, it's an interesting area. I happen to know this particular person who may be able to help you, and you could help in the future in terms of contribution, because maybe, like you said, if it's stage 3 or stage 4, it may be too late, or something that can help other people. Because I think we spoke about this a few weeks back, about the fact that sometimes there are certain conditions, I'm not saying in every case, like reflux, that can be an indication.
So for my project, the team at University College London, the upper GI surgery team, have been very supportive in helping me approach patients who would be willing to give us samples of blood to compare with people without disease to hopefully develop a test. So patients will get diagnosed if they go see their GP. Sometimes they present to A&E with trouble swallowing. And there are also patients who suffer reflux. In the course of being investigated for this, might have been found to have what's called Barrett's esophagus, which is a condition where the type of cell lining the esophagus nearer the stomach changes type because of the irritation from the refluxing acid. So these patients have some risk of developing a cancer down the line, so they tend to be monitored with a camera test every few years. For my project, we have been approaching patients at the clinic who have been diagnosed with esophageal or gastric cancer and being considered for surgery. And I'm very grateful to these patients. Most of them, by and large, are more than happy to help. It's of no direct benefit to them and sort of for the future good, as it were. And most patients have been very kindly giving us samples to help us investigate any potential new tests.
Brilliant. Okay, so you do come across other doctors as well. So on that note, we know that there is SAS Week happening.
Yes.
In the next few weeks. Tell us a little bit about that, because obviously there's a connection there to eventually also another conference that's taking place next week, where we will have this particular society really championing networking and all those good things.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, a lot. Doctors at NHS come from all sorts of backgrounds. And with our cohort of internationally qualified doctors, a lot of them work as what's called SAS doctors. So those are specialty and associate specialist doctors. They are a backbone in the service because they provide continuity. They work at senior level, although not consultants as such, but they work at senior level and deliver a lot of the care for our patients in our hospitals. And yes, the October 14 to 18 is the SAS sort of appreciation celebration week. And it's a lot of our membership will also be part of that cohort of doctors, so it's good to celebrate.
Brilliant. And also to point out the fact that there is a series of programs that are going out every single day during that week. That is actually on the radio station that I'm helping to support, which is Radio Hillingdon. That's over in the Hillingdon Hospital. So it'll be broadcast there as well as out across the network. And those who can tune in terms of all the parts of the actual hospital, as well as on the mobile app as well. Now, let's talk about another conference that's taking place. It's the first one in the UK. I want you to tell me a little bit about how this particular society, and it's so great to meet the president yourself, how did it come about? Because I think there were like 6 core members that thought about the whole idea, didn't they? They thought about the fact that it'd be great to network. A lot of the doctors who are part of the society sometimes are in remote locations, so it's difficult for them to kind of meet up. I think the other thing that we spoke about as well, again, not stealing your thunder, was the fact that if there's research, they might want to get involved in that, a bit similar to the research that you're doing, but in other areas.
Yeah, so the society came about essentially through our own personal networks. So it's not an idea that's unique to me. I think other people would have thought the same, that, I've met some Filipino doctors. Wouldn't it be nice if we have a network of Filipino doctors? Myself, I qualified from Edinburgh, but I grew up in the Philippines. And since qualifying as a doctor, I met a lot of nurses, a lot of Filipinos in care. I didn't really meet many doctors who were from the Philippines or part Filipino. Until I sort of started entering my surgical training, and then I found that each year of my each hospital I was rotating to, I met 1 or 2 doctors who are either British Filipino or come from the Philippines to work here. And eventually, one of them who's one of the 6 that you mentioned that helped establish, we sort of had discussions between ourselves, and they say, "Oh yes, I know someone. Oh yes, I know another one." The other thing to say is that my girlfriend's a nurse, so we have a lot of nursing friends as well, and the sort of novelty of me being one of the first Filipino doctors they'd met in the UK, they've sort of then gone on to say that, we've met another one. So it felt like there was a community growing. Approaching other colleagues, there are a lot of people who think it's a great idea to build a society. I've also found some of my colleagues of other backgrounds, Malaysian doctors, for instance, they have a good going society for medical students and trainees. So I was a bit jealous that they had that kind of network in terms of maintaining heritage links and sort of a support network for people that come over to study here. So those sort of ideas is what really contributed towards developing this. And it's only happened within the last year, but by going through our own networks, we met people who've had the dedication to give the time to develop this, because doctors are busy, as you well know. Everyone in healthcare is busy, as you well know, and everyone's volunteering their own time to get this society established.
Tell us a little bit more about, I mean, this is a great opportunity for not only the conference, but obviously outside of the conference, once they develop the network, to learn and to grow. If you were a junior doctor, how would you start your research journey? What advice would you give?
So what I would say is keeping your ear to the ground, build relationships with people over the course of your training. My own route into research sort of came about having worked at University College London Hospital as an SHO, a senior house officer, some 10 years ago, and we maintained those links with people and people who were involved in research there. And when it came to the last 3-4 years prior to entering my PhD, it's having that discussion over and over again about when it's good to come out of training to do it, whether there is a project that would interest you, and whether you were willing to undertake, because PhDs are challenging, and rightly so. They are a big chunk of your life, 3-4 years out of your life, and a financial hit as well because you're taking time out of your working life. So it takes time. So it's not something to sort of it's not something to make a decision on lightly. I think you take your time, build a relationship with people who can guide you, and hopefully the right opportunity comes along to undertake the research.
Does it concern you that sometimes doing a bit of research to eventually coming out with a product or a drug just takes so long to do? Is that something that in the back of your mind is of concern?
I wouldn't say of concern. It does take time, unfortunately. The diseases are complex, people are complex, there's so much variation between people, bodies are complex, blood itself, which is what we're looking at, is complex. So to develop a reliable test will take time and will take different stages. So my project at the moment is at the sort of laboratory developing a potential test phase, and then to bring that forward will then take time to test it in the real world and see that it does what you want it to do.
The reason why I mention it is because obviously you're doing a bit of research. Somebody may be not thinking about doing research now, but in the future. But because they're being exposed, because your society in theory can provide the findings from some of the leading researchers that belong to the association, but also you've got the fact that somebody may be interested in that in the future, right? Which means that if you make those abstracts available at this point of their career, it may not be that the product's actually available, but the research has moved to such an extent that there'll be different stages. Because you mentioned the fact that you're more in the incubation phase of this, right? What does that actually mean?
So yes, developing a test takes time, takes a lot of effort. At the moment, we are looking at candidate molecules in the blood, and it takes time to discover those promising molecules. If you think about the amount of proteins, the amount of DNA, RNA that's in the blood, there are numerous candidates you might look into, and not all of them will pan out. But when you then identify one or two that are promising, then you wouldn't discover that in the lab. Then you bring that to testing it in the patient cohorts, where you can then see, does it do what you want it to do? And it's when you have that promise, and then you have this journey to bring it to the bedside, and that takes time, unfortunately.
Okay, yeah, they're good, because ultimately, during those stages, there are different times that different consultants can get involved, right? So, maybe someone's more interested in the trial, someone's more interested in the incubation part, someone's interested in conceptualizing, further areas that data could actually lead to. It's a bit of a data game, isn't it?
It is, and it takes you sort of, it's expensive to do these larger trials. So you do need to show that promise at the earlier stages, that it is worth the time and effort, because unfortunately we are all sort of limited resources when it comes to healthcare and research. So you need to show that your particular biomarker or test makes sense in terms of biology and disease, but also has passed that sort of proof of concept stage that is worth bringing forward to confirm that it does what you hope it will do.
So this is really good, because obviously we've spoken about research. So let's summarize for a second, because it's good to summarize. We should also talk about the fact that at this conference, not only do you talk about research, you talk about some of the humanitarian work that's going on, you talk about some practicing consultants who are involved in that work, and also they share their insights into what's going on. Tell us a bit more about what's going to happen.
So yes, I'm excited to hear the breadth of the presentations we'll have. So we've had over 30 abstracts from trainees at different stages, and we also have 3 invited speakers coming to talk. So we'll have the breadth of people at the start of their careers, maybe starting to have a little bit of flavor of clinical research and work, also some of the projects they do to try and improve services within their own local trusts. And then we have 3 speakers who are from, 2 are from a sort of research and biotechnology background, and 1 who is a practicing consultant who has done humanitarian work in Southeast Asia. He's worked with doctors in Vietnam, and with specific to the Philippines, he has also traveled there for projects to help with cleft palate surgeries in underserved communities.
That's amazing. It's really good. So let's talk about a final part of our interview together. We want to ask you about what is motivating you. So you made it to president. You'll get elected hopefully next year as well to carry on the good work. You've got 5 other colleagues. I don't know if you want to mention in terms of some of their specialities. But my main question to you is, what's your driving force?
Thank you very much for pointing out raising the other members. As I say earlier, this is not this is a team effort, and everyone is giving up their time and their weekends to get this going. So to shout out to the team, we have Diego Vergara, who's an orthopedic trainee in Kent. We have Concon Armasa, who is a radiology consultant in Wales. We have Gia Gomez, who is a GP trainee in Kent. And we have Zinel Yap, who is a pediatric trainee in East of England. And we also have Rochelle Laurent, who is a SAS doctor, as we mentioned earlier, in A&E in Brighton. So there have been a number of other people who have given their time, but these 5 of my colleagues have been really dedicating their time in the last year to get us up and running. I should also say for Hillingdon, we also have Hillingdon's own Paul Bisner, who's a SAS doctor in A&E here, who is running our social media channels that I hope you'll come visit. For motivation, there's no sort of one thing that I can crystallize and say that this is why I'm doing this. For the research, there's a personal challenge and the chance to make one's own small contribution to sort of the wider medical knowledge. I mean, doctors are there to try and help their patients, and the research was an opportunity to contribute to that in the kind of wider context, as opposed to a direct doctor-patient relationship. For the society, I found I've had quite an interest in education developed through my career, and by meeting colleagues who have similar backgrounds in terms of being British Filipino or Filipino and traveled over to work here, meeting people kind of just got you excited to develop that network. And I guess the two kind of came together to say, well, if you have a network, you're helping people, more junior colleagues develop in their careers, it sort of just seemed to mesh together reasonably well.
Because I had a little thought when you were just talking there, because I was looking forward to this kind of, one of my favourite films is Pay It Forward, right? It starts as a little kid who does something really good, and then he asks somebody else to pay that forward, right? Yes. And do you think there's that certain amount of flavour there that you went through a personal experience when you came here, obviously studying at Edinburgh, and then, you know, doing your assignments, and then, like you said right at the beginning of the interview, talking about meeting other people? Wouldn't it be better to have an organisation where you could meet those other people and you're facilitating that? Are you, in effect, paying it forward?
So the nature of medical and surgical training is that we learn from our seniors who learn from their seniors. You know, we haven't, none of us sort of figured out medicine on our own. I've said once, there was a quote that came to mind once when I was discussing with someone what essentially what you're saying is that we stand on the shoulder of giants. We learn from the people before us, and we only are able to see the horizon on that shoulder because of the people who have brought us up. So we learn from each other. I learn from senior and junior colleagues, and formalizing that into a network where Filipino doctors hopefully have a voice, and we know about the challenges that they may be facing in terms of training and how we can help them out just made sense.
Well, Dr. Kevin Beatson, it's been an absolute pleasure to meet you. I wish everyone has a fantastic time at the conference. On behalf of Radio Hillingdon, this is Dr. Savi signing off, and I wish you all the best. And it's a really incredible society, and you should all be proud of the fact that you're going to be part of it and you're going to contribute to each other's success.
Hi, this is Kevin Beatson, PhD candidate at UCL. Thank you very much for listening to my conversation with Dr. Savi about the research we've been up to with my group. Our research is not possible without the generosity of donors, and if you would like to donate, I'd encourage you to donate with the link below. Thank you.